Hi, I'm Jason Klom of the Comedy on Vinyl podcast. All of 2017, I'm listening to a comedy album a day to go through my collection. You can watch this full video if you're watching this on Instagram at youtube.com/comedyonvinyl. I decided to pick something out of my collection that I've been wanting to listen to for a long time, and you never know what to expect. You really don't. You might be a big fan of somebody, as I am, of this particular person, but if you've never heard their stand-up, or their sketch, but in this case stand-up, you don't exactly know what to expect. So I picked 1988's Meet Bob by Bobcat Goldthwait, which is interesting because at some point the Bob dropped and then eventually the Bobcat dropped and now he's Bob Goldthwait. Although I think people still call him Bobcat. You can probably hear my cat playing with a toy in the background, so that's super exciting. This was recorded here in Los Angeles. It is on the back of the album. It indicates that these are jazz riffs, as it says. No prep, no props. I would hope no props. He wings it, and it's dangerous. That's how it puts it. It's fantastic. This arguably again. My level of experience maybe with 80s comics is a little less than my experience with 50s and 60s comics, but this is the smartest 80s stand-up album I've ever heard. And I understand, I'm a person who loves Bill Hicks. I'm a person who loves other people of the age, but I genuinely think this is one of the smartest comedy albums I've ever heard. And it starts off, with a guy just doing his best, he's just screaming, knowing his audience, but also knowing that treating his audience as though they're as smart as he clearly is. And it pays off because the audience loves it. At one point he jokes about, when he's older and having his daughter and telling her she has to come back in the house instead of talking to a boy. She has to come in and watch Police Academy 50. Yes, again, as he says. It's I don't know, it's just remarkably self-aware. Very sweet at some points, really socially aware, and really I know I'm not selling it. This is the problem. When you say something like really just hits you in the heart, it's hard to really sell how funny it is, but it's so ridiculously funny. I mean, it's hard to explain why it's so funny that he compares Oliver North to Treat Williams at some point, but for some reason that really, really hit me. A lot of the things he talks about I think are perfectly relevant, like being sucked into watching TV coverage of people he really doesn't agree with politically and just like really wanting to believe in them because of TV. That's the Oliver North bit. Or, talking about, not being into drugs, but having a, previous life of drugs and drink. And it's personal, but it's not like overly personal. It's hard to explain. And I do believe this must be mostly riffed. There are some bits on here that seem like they're pretty well polished to the point where like, I do have these points that I want to demarcate in my act, but the rest of it does seem to be pretty off the cuff. And again, that cover is amazing. That's an amazing cover. The back is more awful, neat stuff. He thanks David Spade on the back, in case you wanted to know that. I don't know what else to say about it, which seems weird. It seems like faint praise, but it's not. It's one of the funniest albums I've heard in a long time, and definitely one of the funniest albums I've ever heard from the 80s in terms of stand-up. And it's a guy who you can hear the intelligence that led him to be the amazing director he is now and writer, wanting to come out but being stuck, I guess, in the body of a stand-up, who really likes stand-up, obviously. I mean, clearly he liked the form, otherwise there's no reason to do this. It's a very brilliant album, remarkably self-aware. I'm going to say that again. Meet Bob, 1988. You should get it. Actually, one of the funniest things was, as I came to the end of the album, I said, I'm shocked. I was like, one of the things I want to talk about when I do my video is, it's one of those great stand-up albums of the 80s that doesn't suffer from having a song at the end. And then the second I had that thought, I noticed, there's another distinct track coming up, and it's a song. However, it's a mashup of U2 and the song YMCA by the Village People. It's great. There's also some backwards masking in here, which I think you'll enjoy. Go back. I mean, I'm sure that somebody's probably done that on YouTube. You can listen to it backwards. If not, do it yourself. It's fantastic. So, yeah, please buy this album. It's great. Support Bobcat Goldthwait. Why wouldn't you? He's a genius. And also follow us at Comedy on Vinyl everywhere you can. If you share this, hashtag it Comedy Album a Day. You can follow me on Twitter at jklamm, JKLAMM. Stolendress.com is where all my stuff is. I got a movie that just came out on December 6th called Lords of Soaptown. Got a book that came out about a year and a half. I have another movie coming up this year. I host and edit and produce a ton of different podcasts, not the least of which being Comedy on Vinyl. Today, my latest episode of Jimmy Pardo just came out. I'm sorry, Jimmy, I know that took a while. It's a great episode, and I love nothing more than just talking with Jimmy Pardo. I mean, it wouldn't even have to be about a comedy album. I would happily just talk with him about anything. So I think you'll enjoy that, comedyonvinyl.com. That's it for this episode. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a good thing.